I truly believe that as we heal ourselves, we heal the collective. And shadow work is paramount in our personal healing journeys. Hello and welcome to Radiance, the podcast. My name is Irene and I am your host. You can consider me your holistic medicine and soul guide. So today I want to talk about the shadow. I am recording this in April of 2024, and this month has been a big month of astrological events. And right now we are in a post-eclipse shadow. So we just had two super powerful eclipses. One of them was a total solar eclipse in Aries, in the north node of the moon in Aries. And the other one was a south node eclipse in Libra. Also, tomorrow, we're going into a full moon in Scorpio. So if you are a little bit knowledgeable about astrology, all of this speaks of shadow work. And this is why. So eclipses happen when something amazing happens in the sky. So the sun, the moon, and the earth have to come in complete alignment. So think about that. It is incredible. So the synchronicities and the alignments that have to happen for that to manifest, it just blows my mind. So usually we in outside of eclipses, full moon, new moons, equinoxes, solstice, we're working with the energetics of the sun and the moon. So we're working with these two energies of fire, water, the masculine primordial principle, the feminine primordial principle. The sun also represents our highest self, our spirit. And the moon represents the shadow, the unconscious, the depths, the emotions. So usually we're dancing between these two realities, these two energies, these two consciousness. But then in an eclipse, a third point has to come in. So there's a third element, which is the earth. And this element that comes in helps the transcendence of this duality, helps all the parts of ourselves to come in perfect alignment so that there's an upgrade to our highest manifestation of self. So think about that. I love this description because eclipses are portals of upgrades, of evolution. But in order to do that jump, first the light needs to be switched off. So the sun is obscured, it becomes dark. The source of energy of the planet, of humanity, gets shut down. So everything goes dark. And it's an invitation to go into the unconscious, to go into those depths, into the shadows, into the dark. So usually in eclipse, it's not recommended to go out and see the eclipse, but to stay indoors, to shut your blinds, to close your eyes, to go very internal. So that's what's just been happening in the past 3 weeks. We've been immersed in this eclipse energy. And this eclipse energy has really been asking us to let go of all the relationships, because it was in Libra, in the South Node, which is about letting go, releasing. Libra, relationships, balance, to let go everything that is putting us out of balance, out of harmony, to let go of toxic relationships with others and within ourselves as well. And a big piece is to let go of people pleasing. Let go of the need of approval of the others for you to feel good about yourself. And what this is asking us is to move forward into Aries, the North Node, moving forward. It's the head of the dragon, so it's hungry, it's desiring. So this eclipse is really catapulting us to connect with our true selves, to assert ourselves in the world, in our authentic selves. And this is calling also to step into our leadership roles, because Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So it's the first one. It likes to be the first. It's impulsive. It likes to start things. So it's really asking us to open a new cycle, a new journey, and stepping forward with an open heart, connected to our authentic self, so that our spirit can shine forward and offer our gifts, our authentic gifts into the world. So there was a lot of fire happening with this eclipse. And now the last piece of the puzzle is this full moon in Scorpio that is happening. And Scorpio is connected to the planet of Pluto, which is the lord of the underworld. And Scorpio is very much connected to the occult, to everything that is underneath. It's also connected to the themes of sex and power and money. And yeah, it's very much about going into the depths. To compost is very much connected to the archetype of death and rebirth. So Scorpio is a transformational archetype that is asking us to go into the depths of the shadow, to compost and transform, so that we can be rebirthed like the phoenix rising from the ashes into our truest expression of ourselves. So that's what's happening energetically. And that's why I'm recording this, because I'm very inspired of what is happening in the sky. So what is the shadow? So we talk a lot about shadow work. We need to go into the shadow. But what exactly is that? So the shadow is everything that you have rejected about yourself and about others. It's everything that makes you cringe. It's everything that you judge, that you criticize, that you don't like. And so because you don't like it, you put it in a place in your psyche, deep in your psyche, in a place where you don't have to deal with it, that you don't have to see it, you don't have to confront it. It's like it's stored away. And the problem is that very often there is elements that we attach to these things that we don't like, that are actually very beneficial for us, that are actually connected to our power. And so the idea is to allow ourselves to go into those spaces, into those limiting beliefs or programmings that you have put upon yourself, you or society or your family or culture, that has made you believe that these traits are not good, or things like, I don't feel worthy of love, I don't feel worthy of money, I'm not good enough, the imposter syndrome, the abandonment wound, all of your limiting beliefs of why you are not good enough, why you are not worthy of love, why you don't belong. So all of those, it's important to accept that you have that belief, even though we don't want to accept it because we want to be seen as strong and powerful and confident and like a good person. We're not perfect, and we've all made mistakes. So it's important also to go into those places where you feel shame, where you feel guilt, and allow yourself to feel it, to have an embodied experience consciously. And through having an embodied conscious experience, you're bringing light into those shadows, and then they can start to be transformed into wisdom, because insights come, and forgiveness comes, and compassion comes, and love comes. So we start to reclaim certain powers and certain virtues that we relegated to the shadows. Also, trauma is stored in the shadow. And what is trauma? Let's define trauma a little bit, because it's also a word that is thrown out there very frequently. I heard Gabor Mate once said that trauma is not what happened to you, it's not the event, it's how you experience the event. And I love this explanation because what happens is that when you experience something very intense, even like something that happened to you as a child, or even maybe an accident as an adult, something that was very traumatic to say it, but something that was very challenging, that was very intense, that was very scary, something like that. What our psyche does, which is amazing, it actually fragments. So a part of your consciousness fragments to allow you to be present in the here and now. So it's a survival mechanism that we have as humans. And we all have this. And it's a beautiful thing because it allows us to survive. It allows us to be present. So, for example, if there's an accident, somebody is in a car accident, and somebody is badly injured and the other person isn't. So the person, they were both in the accident, but the person that is not injured has to act in the present moment to help the person that is injured. The person that is not injured has to suppress, has to fragment the fear, the maybe all the emotions that are surfacing, the fight or flight. That person has to fragment that experience so that they can be present and act accordingly to what needs to be done to save the other person. Now, this is healthy. This is good. The thing is that if the person that had to fragment doesn't allow himself or herself to relive the experience and relieve that emotional content, that content is going to be stored in the shadow, and it's going to be haunting that person with panic attacks or certain behaviors that maybe start to appear that are out of context. And until that person doesn't allow herself or himself to feel it completely in a conscious way, it gets stored. And the more content it gets stored, it's like a cooking pot that starts to boil and boil and boil until you explode, and then there's crises. So the best thing is to allow yourself to feel of the emotions in the moment. But if you can't, then later in a contained, safe way, like in a therapeutic session, then you allow yourself to relive it. So then that content is dissolved and it goes back into the flow of your body. And that is the same with any experience that you had as a child. For example, a kid that is having breakfast and had cereal and he wants a second bowl of cereal, but the parents don't allow him or her to have the second bowl of cereal. And the kid experiences like a very traumatic experience of not receiving the needs, not nourishing his needs in the moment. So then he might develop an orality complex or an abandonment wound that if you see it from outside, it's out of context. But the child's experience is so big that a part of his psyche fragments. And what happens is that part of the psyche stays in the past, stays in at that age. So as an adult, it's important to do inner child work to go back to those stages of life where these traumas happen, consciously or unconsciously, to be able to bring back from time, it's like time traveling, these parts of your psyche and reintegrate them into the present moment and reintegrate them, reorganize it into your flow. Again, I love this quote of Carl Jung that says, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it destiny. I love it because our conscious and our unconscious, like our psyche is so vast. It's so vast. I really like this image of the iceberg. So imagine you're in the ocean and you see an iceberg. And so you only see the tip of the iceberg. That tip of the iceberg is our consciousness, is like what we know in our waking state, what we are aware of in our waking state. It's just the tip. And if you go underneath the water, there's a big mass of ice that goes deep, 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 deep into the ocean. That is our whole unconscious. It divides in the subconscious and the personal unconscious, and at the deepest level is the collective unconscious. So there is so much depth in our psyche. And in there, again, it's the shadow, everything that we have rejected, but also in those shadows, there are treasures to be reclaimed, to be recovered. Because when we are kids and in life, again, when we put things into the shadow that we believe that are not good, sometimes we put things like the worthiness of love, the security, the self-love, etc., etc. So by going into the shadows, yes, you're going to confront parts of yourself that are not comfortable, and it can be painful because we want to relieve certain experiences in a conscious way through the body, but also it becomes like a treasure hunt because you are recovering treasures, emeralds and gold and jewels that are deep, deep, deep into the ocean that are not accessible until you go into those parts of your psyche. And so I want to invite you to reframe shadow work as a treasure hunt. And in this treasure hunt, there's going to be challenges. You might feel pain, you might get hurt, you might find an obstacle, resistance. But if we can see it as a game where we are connecting dots and getting clues to reach this treasure. And the treasure really is your true nature, to connect with your true self, with your authentic self, with your power, with your wisdom. There's so much wisdom in there as well because we are innately wise. We just need to go into those realms and recover the information. So as we do this, we're bringing the light of our conscious mind, our inner guru, into the shadows. And by shining light into these depths of our psyche, we are transforming, we are composting. And by doing this, we're creating a better capacity of connection in life and creating a better possibility of living through an experience of joy, of love, of pleasure, of connection, of flow, of wisdom and grace, instead of limiting beliefs, instead of self-sabotaging behaviors, instead of the small ego self. Doing shadow work is about remembering your true nature, who you are, which is you are a divine being having a human experience. And we are all true nature. We just need to remember, and we are all love, we are all awareness. We just need to remember and recover that information because we all have trauma. We all have been fragmented. Nobody saves like themselves. Like we all have our personal stories and personal histories. And that's beautiful because that has made us who we are. But I truly, truly believe that as we do this work internally, personally, we have a ripple effect into our families, into our communities, into the collective. There's always things that we can learn as we come together. And there's nothing more powerful than being in circle with like-minded women that are committed to their evolution. Let me know how this lands for you. I would love to know what experiences you've had with shadow work, what scares you about it, if you have fear around it, if you're interested, if you're curious. And if you have any other questions, please let me know. Sending you many full moon blessings and lots of love. Ciao for now.